Now this recipe that you see before you has a consistency much like tapioca. See how thick it gets? And that's the way a rice pudding should be. Now I made this up, about 4 hours ago. So if you let it sit, the longer it sits, the thicker it gets. But the consistency is incredible. And the flavors, it's dumbfounding. It's dead on just like having rice pudding. So no longer will I have to go over and have my mucus-forming cow-based rice pudding anymore. I can have all those delectable flavors and the texture right there made with chia seed. And this is another one. It's a 5-minute recipe. I'll show you how quick it is. It's amazing. All I gotta get is my nuts around here. In this case, I'm gonna use walnuts. Whatever your nut of choice is, you make the call. I got 2 cups of nuts. If you want it to be more alkaline forming, stick in the almonds. In this case, walnuts, what I had available. Good essential fats in the walnuts, good protein, 5 cups of water. A real fast grind just to macerate it up. And then a quick strain, just to strain out the pulp. And for those of you connoisseurs of nut milks, we've made a bunch before. You certainly can put it through a nut straining bag if you want and double strain it. I'll tell you, especially with this recipe, don't bother. A little extra texture is good for the pudding here. Just going to strain you right out. Do I need to soak the nuts? Any nut or seed that could be soaked should be soaked. So I think it's always a good idea. Unfortunately, with walnuts, they are broken into half, so you're never going to sprout a walnut half. You're not going to release the enzyme inhibitors effectively, but you are releasing some, so I think it's always a benefit if you can. If you didn't, is it going to make a big difference digestively? Not a whole lot, truly. I'm just going to do a little spoon to scrape away a little of the extra.
How much nuts do you use for water?
2 cups to 5 cups of water. And we've got our mash. Pour it back in. Now your sweetener of choice, you make the call. I'm going to use agave tonight. Agave is getting a little bad rap. In a few weeks we'll cover a class heavily discussing the benefits, the pros and cons of agave. There is a lot of information right now, just a couple blurps on agave. And I do believe that some of this information is relevant. It was touted to be a natural sweetener. It's not heated above 115 degrees, so it's raw. But we're finding reports that they are using genetically modified enzymes to help convert the sugar into fructose, and the fructose isn't natural as you would have in a fruit, so it does become a little bit more taxing for the liver and the pancreas. There is some relevance, and we'll cover this at length. I've got some real good fact sheets on it. I don't think it's a great insult to the body, used in small, infrequent amounts at all. It's nothing that I would use as a staple. I still think raw honey would certainly be totally clean because the bees are doing the work for you. That's the way it was made in nature. But I'll still use agave, and I think that it is a fairly decent product, but it's not quite as good as I was originally feeling, I would say a year ago even, from the original reports. So we'll cover it more at length. You could use maple syrup if you wanted in here. I like agave for one good reason, is you don't pick up the flavor. If I put maple syrup in here, the maple syrup becomes a predominant flavor. When you use agave, you don't catch that flavor. It just has that sweeter quality. So a quick spin. Thanks. That's a simple nut milk. I'll go so far as add a little vanilla and a little cinnamon and nutmeg. But I won't do it at this moment because it's going to go into our raw rice, or faux rice. What's amazing is for the volume that we're putting in, we need 4 cups. Need my cup. Actually 2 cups to make a recipe. 1, 2. So there's 2 cups of nut milk. I need 4 to 5 tablespoons of chia seed. It's like, that's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll put in 5 for a bonus. Now remember, 1 tablespoon can sustain a person's energy for 24 hours. So if I eat this bowl for breakfast, God, that's like 4 or 5 days worth of energy already stored up. I'm good. Yeah. Now I need a little vanilla extract, about a teaspoon. Now we get into the fun flavors. Big teaspoon. And especially with the vanilla and the cinnamon, I tell you, I would rather be liberal than conservative with the flavorings. I've done it both ways, and I think it should have a little extra kick to it, so I'd rather go a little stronger with the cinnamon. And the original recipe does not have nutmeg listed, but I really believe cinnamon and nutmeg were made to be together. But with nutmeg, a little goes a long, long way, so just to be real light on your nutmeg, I'll just take a little edge of the spoon out, about that much. Nutmeg can really take over quickly, so don't use too much. Don't be too liberal on your nutmeg. But I think for a good rice pudding, you should be liberal on the vanilla and the cinnamon, personally. And that's about it. Now this is going to sit and thicken. See how nice and watery it is? Now look at how thick this is. Isn't that amazing? In just a couple hours, it's thickened up. Now all these polysaccharides that made it thick, that's what's going to lubricate and soothe your intestinal wall. Help keep you regular. It's good for somebody that has diarrhea or looseness in their bowels, and at the same time, it's equally beneficial for somebody that would be constipated. So it can work both ways for the intestine. It's basically soothing and lubricating. Now, I do believe, there they are. For me, a rice pudding should have raisins. You make your call. I've seen the Greek restaurants, they don't put it in, but the Food and Thought store next door, they do. So I've been hooked on the raisins. So I'm going to go off the recipe chart, stick in about a half to a cup of raisins. And just in about an hour or so, we're going to have rice pudding. And if we wait a few more hours, we got a nice thick rice pudding that has kind of like a tapioca consistency. Wait till you taste this one. This one's delicious. We should probably serve you up a little in the beginning here and get you started. And then we've got a whole bunch more to spin through. You want to help, Jen? You guys ready to start? And also a beautiful side on this, because of that good high essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6, this will also help lower your bad cholesterol and elevate your good cholesterol for anybody with cholesterol problems. If I can remember. Because of the good essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6 that are available, it'll help elevate your good cholesterol and lower your bad cholesterol, the chia seed. Another beneficial factor. And it's also good for those with acidic acid reflux. People that get a lot of regurgitation and acid reflux, instead of taking their Rolaids and whatever aids they're taking, have them eat some chia seed gel. The gel absorbs the acids. It'll bind it off so that it doesn't reflux back up the esophagus. A perfect treatment for acid reflux. Cost you pennies, and the nutritional benefits you're getting on the side of that are extreme. Even Rolaids was shown to have in their calcium in the tablet, and that's how it buffered the acid. It was actually tainted with lead. So here you're taking something that's supposed to cut off your acid production in your stomach and neutralize the acidity from the calcium, and then on top of it, you had lead based in the product. You're not getting any of that in the chia seed. This is far superior and far cheaper. So that was the raw rice pudding, my favorite dish I think I've done in all these raw food desserts. I'm going to be eating that many, many, many days. And no more will I be having that cooked cow rice pudding now in my life. I'll be having the raw chia pudding. But fruit nut bars, nice one that you can use as a breakfast bar and a middle of the day snack. You can have it with you. Real simple recipe. We've made them before. And I'll tell you, after making these and eating them and digesting them, less is more. I used to put in all these mixes of fruits. I had cranberries and blueberries and strawberries, all these mixes in with these nuts. And man, you eat them, you'd have all this bloating and gas because it was too much combined together. So we've modified this recipe down, made it much simpler and much easier to digest.